Hey, so here again with Andy from SixProg. And rather than the in-depth interview that we did last time, we wanted to follow up with some kind of shorter topic-based conversation discussion. And in talking about this, both of us have recently had a few different messages from people talking about umbrella companies, and also seeing a lot of news and reports about those on social media, especially on LinkedIn as well. People sharing a few different articles and perspectives. So we thought it was a good opportunity for us to share our kind of perspectives and viewpoint, and hopefully that adds some value to you. So Andy, thanks again for making the time.
Hey Matt, good to see you again.
Likewise. So umbrellas, do you want to give people a definition of an umbrella for those that aren't so familiar?
Yeah, I guess that's a useful way to kick off. If you haven't worked through an umbrella before, fundamentally it is a payrolling mechanism that is designed to ensure that you're paying, without running your own limited company or somebody else running it for you, you're paying the correct amount of national insurance tax, maybe student loan contributions, those types of things. Can be very useful, can take away some of the headaches of running your own business and working out how to pay yourself. But as we've seen, and I'll jump straight into it, Matt. There was an article over the weekend in The Guardian, and the title, it was on Sunday the 16th, the title was "The Hidden Cost of Umbrella Companies May Top £4.5 billion per year." So whilst umbrellas have a use and a reason for existing, there are clearly a couple of issues. What have you heard?
Yeah, absolutely. I've heard of many things about umbrellas, and the issues I think seem to be really around lack of transparency. Who is charging who which money, what fees is the service provider, the contractor, liable for, what's being deducted where, basically. And it all seems to be very, very confusing and adding layers of complexity to a working relationship, whether the supplier, the contractor, just wants to deliver their work to that consumer, to that end user, end client.
Right. I've got an anecdote from, it's some years back, but I believe it might show the way that the industry works. I used to run another consultancy firm. We had a contractor who joined us and asked to work through an umbrella company, which was fine. It was quite easy to deal with them, and they sent through the contract, and it was fine. What was concerning, though, a few weeks later, is I had a call from one of their account managers, and he said, I need to come and see you, Andy. Let me buy you a coffee. And of course, back in the day, I was anybody's for a quick coffee and a chat. The point of his visit, though, was concerning. So what he wanted to do was give our company a number of vouchers for Argos and Amazon and this sort of thing for referring other contractors, which, for one, didn't really make any sense. We had a huge permanent roster of staff and the odd contractor, so it really wouldn't have made a dent or an impact. But secondly, it really made you question the ambition of the company, that they were working on this referral basis for vouchers. And as we got a bit more into the conversation, I kind of said, look, it's probably not for us. He kind of said, oh, don't worry, it's okay. It's tax-free. You won't get taxed on it because you don't have to declare these vouchers.
Right.
Which, of course, made it seem all the more shady. So I have to say, after that contractor left the project and stopped working with us, I didn't talk to the umbrella again. But it just belies a bit of a problem. I don't know if you've heard of similar dangerous tactics.
I think you have to question their motivation, don't you?
I think businesses should be able to operate on a good service provision, and that should be it, without having to give people ad hoc rewards.
Yes. The value should be clear. And I don't know about you, something I've seen a lot of recently, because of all the IR35 concerns and people looking to shuffle risk around, I think, rather than adhere to the intent of what that is supposed to be trying to achieve, the differentiation between employees and service providers. And I've seen some agencies are actually, recruitment agencies are no longer doing payroll. So we have this situation whereby there's a recruitment agency in between the contractor and the end client, and now they're saying in order for the contractor to get paid, the contractor has to go via an umbrella company. So all of a sudden there are 4 different kind of legal entities and parties involved in, what would ordinarily be a relationship between just half of those, just 2 of those.
That's true. And I think the other fact of the matter is that contractors do pay themselves often on a monthly basis. They do pay themselves a dividend, as any business would operate, but they will still pay themselves monthly and pay the relevant amount of national insurance and tax contributions as required. So I'm really not sure, other than the umbrella companies themselves and the perceived risk that the end client is moving themselves away from, I'm really unsure as to who these large umbrella payroll entities benefit when any business can operate its own payroll without really all that much difficulty.
Yes.
What I would quite like to see is the people who operate umbrellas, and I do know of a couple actually who are notably, they're on LinkedIn a lot. Clarity gets a lot of reviews saying how good they are. But then equally, there are too many others that get bad reviews, which is clearly the problem here. But what I do wonder if those people could use their expertise to run payroll for end clients, so thereby moving the responsibility away from the end client. Help them out, deliver a service that they need, which is a payroll service, and great, operate the same type of service they do at the moment, but do it in a different way, so that it doesn't become shady and unpredictable and misunderstood. I'd really like to see that, because there's clearly a need for the service. It's just where that service operates, and that I'd like to see change.
I agree, and I think it's for some of them. I'm like you. I'm not saying this is the case for all of them. I think for some of them, it does seem to be a bit of opportunistic ways of working to try and take advantages of different tax situations and structures. I was talking to an independent accountant the other day, and he works with a lot of contractors but also their clients, and he recently started up a mini umbrella company, as he called it, in order to help deal with some of the IR35 issues. And the language there was quite clear, just helping to deal with it. And I said to him, William, do you think this is sustainable? Is it really just trying to further promote that disguised employee mode of operation, versus actually operating as a business, as a service provider? And he was quite honest. He said, I can see that HMRC are going to be coming down on companies like this soon, but for now, it operates as an efficient way to allow the contractors to continue to work with the clients because they don't know any different. So I think that's quite telling.
So what would you say if, I know you work with a lot of contractors, what would you say to them if they're being shoehorned into some sort of umbrella arrangement? Would you give them any specific advice?
I think do your homework first and foremost. Go into that situation with full knowledge of exactly what is going on, and try and get transparency on what those relationships actually look like, and question why that needs to be the case. It would be my general advice. I think if having that many people involved in that kind of relationship is being mandated, I wonder what the motivations are for that. So that's the thing that I would encourage them to get to the bottom of, and then do the research on that umbrella.
You're not suggesting some businesses are operating backhanders to umbrellas so they can be their preferred umbrella by chance, are you?
I think there are a number of complex relationships between all these types of companies that are just springing up now more than ever because of the IR35 concern and all the rest of it.
Fair play. A couple of people I think are great to follow amongst Matt and myself on LinkedIn on the same topic, but have a look at Rebecca Seeley-Harris's work. She's doing some sterling work around uncovering umbrella issues. And of course, James Posner and his group as well are looking into umbrellas, unfair deductions and that sort of thing. I'd recommend checking their sites out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And from your perspective, kind of similar question really, any red flags you think contractors should be on the lookout for?
I would really like to see contractors operating more as a business entity, and therefore the question that any of them should be put into some sort of additional financial relationship other than running a normal business under Companies House, under the normal rules. I think that should keep them away from being asked to be additionally payrolled through another entity. So I'd really hope that if you are operating business and hiring contractors, hire them on the right basis, and if you are delivering services, keep talking about service delivery and move away from day rate and that sort of stuff as much as you can, and reach out for help.
Yeah,
as well.
Absolutely. I think there are options available to you. There are different motivations for working in different ways, but recognise and be honest about how you're working with an end client. Is it a day rate? Is it really just like that temporary employee scenario? Or are you trying to deliver as a business? And those two models of working are very, very clear and well established. One, of course, is inside IR35, and that is what it is. And the other one is, as you say, operating via company's house as a regular business, doing what a regular business would.
What would be cool is if you could write in the comments and get in touch with both of us after this to let us know what you think. Feel free. Tell us if we've read it wrong, or equally give us a thumbs up if
Absolutely.
you agree.
Let us know, and interesting to hear of your experiences of working with umbrellas as well, if you've been in that situation or been pressured to work in that way.
Cool.
Cheers.
Cheers, Matt. See you next week.